Imagine a life shackled, not by visible chains, but by an invisible torment, so profound, it crushed your very soul. You walk through life, but you are not truly living. You exist in a darkness so thick, hope feels like a cruel joke. Have you ever felt that kind of internal battle? A battle no one else can see, but you feel it in every fiber of your being. This was Mary Magdalene. Her story isn't some distant historical account. It is a mirror to the unseen struggles many of us face. She was known, yes, but for the chaos that clung to her, for the brokenness that defined her in the eyes of others. The Bible gives us a stark, chilling detail. She was possessed by 7 demons, Luke 8:2. Stop right there. 7. Not 1, not 2, but 7. In ancient thought, this number didn't just mean many. It symbolized completion, totality. Can you grasp that? It means her entire life, her entire being, was utterly consumed, utterly dominated by evil, by torment, by an anguish that left no corner of her soul untouched. This wasn't a minor affliction. It was a complete devastation. Think about what that truly meant. No peace, ever. Sleepless nights haunted by inner voices. A cruel isolation because who would want to be near someone so utterly broken? She was likely shunned, whispered about, perhaps even openly mocked. The world saw her as beyond hope, a lost cause, someone permanently stained by her past. She was trapped in a cycle of torment, and every exit seemed sealed. Have you ever felt like that, labeled, misunderstood, trapped by circumstances or by your own inner demons, in a way that feels utterly inescapable? Are you carrying a secret weight, an invisible chain that no one else knows about? Don't gloss over this. What hidden battles are you fighting right now? What invisible chains are binding your soul, whispering lies about your worth and your future? Are you ready to admit them? Are you ready for something to change? The gaze that shattered darkness, we often seek solutions for our deepest pains in all the wrong places, don't we? We try therapy, self-help, distractions, anything to numb the ache. But what if the true answer came from a gaze? A single look that saw past all your labels, all your past, all your perceived brokenness, and saw straight into the core of who you were meant to be. That is exactly what happened with Mary. When Jesus crossed her path, he didn't look at her with the judgment she was so accustomed to receiving. He didn't see the woman with 7 demons, or the sinner the world condemned. Instead, he saw Mary Faye. He saw a precious soul, a child of God, trapped and suffering, desperately needing liberation and love. He saw her pain, yes, but also her potential. He saw her, truly saw her, in a way no one ever had before. And then, with an authority that defied all human understanding, he freed her. This wasn't a long-drawn out process of counseling or ritual. This was instantaneous, a command. With the raw power of his word, Jesus expelled those demons. It was a divine word, not a negotiation. There was no doubt, no struggle. His word was sufficient. In an instant, the invisible chains that had held her captive for so long shattered. The darkness that had consumed her entire life lifted. The peace she had probably only dreamed of, but never believed possible, became her reality. For the first time, perhaps ever, she truly breathed. This moment wasn't just relief. It was radical transformation. Think about that. One moment, utterly lost, completely bound. The next, utterly free, completely whole. It's a profound testament to the immediate, undeniable power of Jesus. He didn't just help her. He reconstructed her very existence. He didn't just ease her pain. He removed its source entirely. Are you still trying to fix yourself? piece by piece, relying on your own strength? Or are you ready to let the gaze of Jesus penetrate your soul, exposing every wound, every hidden chain, and trusting His voice to command total liberation? Are you ready for an instant, undeniable transformation that only He can bring? Freedom isn't the end. It is the beginning. So, you've found freedom. You've escaped the darkness. What next? Do you go back to your old life, just without the torment? Do you disappear into the crowd, grateful but unnoticed? If you think freedom is the end goal, you've missed the profound point of true liberation. For Mary Magdalene, freedom was just the starting gun. After her deliverance, Mary didn't return to her old life. She didn't just walk away from the darkness. She ran towards Jesus. Something deep, something fundamental, shifted in her heart that day. She didn't just want to receive from Jesus, she wanted to serve Him. She decided to walk beside the one who had saved her, to dive body and soul into the purpose He offered. The woman once known for her affliction was now marked by an unwavering devotion. Think about the radical nature of this commitment. Luke 8:1-3 tells us that Mary Magdalene was part of a unique group of women who not only accompanied Jesus, but also supported His ministry with their own resources. This wasn't just passive following. This was active investment. What she had, which might have once been used for mere survival or a hopeless existence, was now dedicated to something eternal. In a male-dominated society, where a woman's presence in a traveling ministry could easily invite criticism and judgment, Mary stood firm. She knew there was no going back to her old life. Jesus had given her everything: freedom, dignity, and a purpose far greater than anything she could have imagined. How could she possibly live any other way? Her transformation wasn't just external. It was deeply etched into her heart. She didn't follow Jesus out of obligation, but out of an overflowing, genuine love. Every word He spoke seemed to touch the deepest fibers of her soul. Every miracle she witnessed was a living reminder of what He had already done for her. Her life became a constant reflection of gratitude in action. So, let me ask you, is your gratitude for what God has done for you merely a feeling? Or is it an active, daily commitment? Are you just enjoying your freedom? Or are you investing your life, your resources, your very being, into the purpose God has for you? What radical step will you take today, just like Mary, to show your unwavering devotion, a front-row seat to the miraculous? Mary Magdalene wasn't just a follower. She was a frontline witness, living and breathing alongside the source of all miracles. Each day with Jesus was a living lesson in faith, compassion, and the transforming power of God. She didn't just hear His words. She saw those words come alive through undeniable miracles. Imagine Mary in the crowd, watching Jesus heal the blind, make the paralyzed walk, cleanse lepers, and feed thousands with a few loaves and fish. Perhaps she had flashbacks to her own liberation as she watched others being touched by Jesus. After all, who better than she knew what it meant to be utterly transformed by a miracle? These scenes must have constantly rekindled her gratitude and reaffirmed her certainty that she had made the right choice by following Him. But Mary wasn't content with merely admiring miracles. She absorbed every word Jesus spoke. He wasn't like other teachers of the time. His authority was unparalleled, and His words penetrated people's hearts. He spoke about the kingdom of God in a way that gave hope to the excluded and marginalized, a group in which Mary Magdalene had certainly been included. His teachings weren't abstract theories. They were living truths that resonated with her deeply personal experience of freedom and restoration. Furthermore, Mary Magdalene was present at times that demanded immense courage. It wasn't easy to accompany Jesus. He challenged religious authorities, walked through hostile territories, and had enemies who openly desired to destroy Him. Yet Mary remained firm, demonstrating impressive fidelity. The teachings and miracles of Jesus transformed Mary not only externally but also internally. They reaffirmed what she already knew: he was the Messiah. The one who had released her soul was also restoring broken hearts and bringing hope to everyone he encountered. Are you just consuming information about God, or are you allowing his words to transform you from the inside out? Are you brave enough to follow him, even when the path leads through uncomfortable or even hostile territory? What will you do to move from a passive observer to an active, front-row witness of God's work? The cross and unbreakable loyalty when everything crumbles, when hope seems to die, and fear grips your heart. Where do you stand? Do you flee, seeking safety, or do you remain, rooted in a loyalty that defies all logic and danger? This is the ultimate test of faith, and Mary Magdalene passed it with defiant, tear-stained courage. The day of crucifixion was one of the darkest, most agonizing moments in human history. While many disciples, gripped by fear, had scattered and fled, Mary Magdalene was there. She remained near the cross, witnessing the unimaginable suffering of Jesus. Imagine the scene: the sky darkening, the taunting shouts of the crowd, and in the agonizing center of it all, Jesus, suspended between life and death. Mary was there, tears streaming down her face, but with an unwavering courage in her heart. Her presence in that moment speaks volumes about her faithfulness. It was not safe to be there. Identifying yourself as a follower of Jesus could bring immediate danger, even persecution. But Mary didn't care. She was no longer the tormented woman of the past. She was someone who had experienced such a profound transformation that not even the possibility of persecution could push her away from Jesus' side. Alongside other women, like Mary, the mother of Jesus, Mary Magdalene watched her master's suffering closely. Her heart must have been crushed to see the one who had brought life and hope treated with such unimaginable cruelty. Yet, even in that moment of profound pain, her presence was an act of pure, unconditional love. She couldn't change the situation, but she could be there. She could offer comfort, even silently, by her sheer, steadfast presence. Jesus, even while hanging on the cross, recognized the importance of these faithful women. He looked at his mother and the beloved disciple John, showing that even in death, he was concerned with those closest to him. For Mary Magdalene, this moment was another proof of Jesus' unconditional love, a love that cared for others until his very last breath. That day, Mary Magdalene saw not only the pain of Jesus, but also the profound depth of his mission. She instinctively knew that death was not the end, even if she couldn't fully comprehend it yet. Something in Mary's heart told her that this agonizing moment was part of a greater, divine purpose. When your world collapses, when the pain seems unbearable, and when others abandon ship, where will your faith be? Will you stand firm, even if it means standing alone, just like Mary at the foot of the cross? The silence of the tomb, the whisper of hope. What do you do when your greatest hope seems to die? When the light of your life is extinguished, and the world feels impossibly dark, do you succumb to despair, or do you cling to a fragile hope that whispers in the silence? It was the third day after the crucifixion. The sun had not yet fully risen when Mary Magdalene, driven by a deep love and an immense longing, walked to the tomb where Jesus had been laid. In that silent dawn, her heart was still heavy with the fresh pain of everything she had witnessed. She wanted to honor her master, to care for his body, to extend her devotion until the very last moment. But she had no idea she was about to witness the most extraordinary event in all of human history. Upon arriving at the tomb, Mary found something utterly unexpected. The massive stone that had sealed the entrance had been removed. Her heart must have hammered in her chest. What did this mean? So many questions, but no immediate answer. When she looked inside, Mary saw that Jesus' body was not there. In a surge of desperation and confusion, she ran to find Peter and John, crying out, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they have laid him." John 20:2. The two disciples quickly went to the tomb and confirmed that it was empty, but they returned home without fully grasping what had happened. They saw the evidence, but the truth eluded them. Mary, however, couldn't leave. She stood there outside the tomb, tears streaming down her face, desperate to understand the inexplicable. She lingered in her sorrow, unwilling to accept the finality of an empty grave. And it was at this moment, precisely when her grief was deepest and her confusion most profound, that something wonderful happened. While weeping, Mary noticed two figures dressed in white inside the tomb. They were angels. They asked her, "Woman, why are you crying?" Mary responded, her heart broken, "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." But before she could fully process what was happening, she turned and saw someone else. It was Jesus, but she didn't recognize him immediately. She thought he was the gardener. She pleaded, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." When your expectations are shattered, when your grief is overwhelming, and when all seems lost, do you give up? Or do you linger in hope, seeking answers? Even when they seem impossible, will you stay? Even when others leave, waiting for the divine to reveal itself? Mary, Faye, a name that echoed eternity. What if the most profound, world-shattering revelation came through the most unexpected voice? What if God chose the overlooked, the underestimated, the one with a challenging past, to announce the greatest news humanity has ever heard? This is exactly what happened with Mary Magdalene. Then came the single word that changed everything. Just one word, spoken by a voice she knew deep in her soul. Mary. The sound of her name, uttered by the Master, was sufficient for her to recognize Jesus instantly. The scales fell from her eyes. The grief lifted. The impossible became reality. She exclaimed, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Mary not only saw the empty tomb, she was the first person to encounter the risen Christ. This was not a private reunion. It was a cosmic confirmation that all Jesus had taught was true, that he had conquered death itself, and that his kingdom was completely different from human standards. Mary Magdalene was chosen for a unique and revolutionary moment, to be the first person to witness that Jesus had risen. At a time when a woman's testimony held little to no legal or social value, this detail carries a powerful, undeniable message. It wasn't a priest, a Pharisee, or even one of the revered male disciples who first saw Jesus alive. It was Mary, a woman with a past once marked by pain and possession, but now representing the vibrant new life Christ offered. God chose her, the one the world might ignore, to carry the most important news of all time. And Jesus left no doubt about her mission. He gave Mary a clear, direct order. "Go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." John 20:17. Mary became the carrier of the message that would change everything. She was the first to announce the resurrection, the central pillar of the Christian faith. This made her the first messenger of the gospel of the new covenant. The importance of this moment goes beyond the personal. It symbolizes the inclusion and value of all in God's plan, regardless of gender, past, or social position. In choosing Mary, Jesus declared that his gospel has no barriers and that his grace is accessible to all. So I ask you, are you listening for God's voice, even in the midst of your sorrow or confusion? And when he speaks your name, are you ready to carry his audacious message, Even if you feel unqualified, even if the world tells you your voice doesn't matter, the apostle to the apostles. A legacy unbound who defines significance. The world with its fleeting standards of power and position, or God who sees beyond titles and chooses the humble. Mary Magdalene's story isn't just about her personal journey. It is a powerful blueprint for God's radical perspective on value and purpose. She occupies a truly special place in the Christian faith, becoming a deep symbol of redemption, faithfulness, and courage. Her story is a living mirror of God's transforming power, showing us that no one, absolutely no one, is beyond the reach of divine grace. From a woman tormented by 7 demons to the first witness of the resurrection, Mary Magdalene's journey echoes the promise of new life offered to all who surrender to Christ. For many, Mary represents what it means to be completely transformed. She is living proof that God doesn't look at our flaws, our past mistakes, or what the world sees as irreparable. Instead, he sees the immense potential for renewal, for restoration. This image of Mary as an example of radical redemption continues to inspire Christians around the world. She shows us that no matter how broken a person may feel, with Jesus, there is always, always hope of restoration. Beyond redemption, Mary is a profound symbol of faithfulness. While many fled, fearing the consequences of being associated with Jesus, she remained firm. Mary was present at the crucifixion. She witnessed the empty tomb, and she carried the message of the resurrection. Her unwavering loyalty is a vital reminder that following Christ requires courage, even in the most difficult, dangerous, and confusing times. She stands as a beacon of what it means to stand by God when everything else falls apart. Another deeply significant aspect of Mary's story is the theme of inclusion. In a society where women were often marginalized and their voices silenced, Jesus gave Mary a central, revolutionary role. He chose her to be the first to see him after his resurrection, and to share this groundbreaking good news. This choice fundamentally challenges the cultural norms of the time and powerfully reinforces the message that in the kingdom of God, all are equally valued, equally seen, and equally called. God doesn't care about your social status or your past reputation. He cares about your heart and your willingness to serve. Mary Magdalene's story also points us to the profound power of love and gratitude. She didn't follow Jesus just because she had been released. She followed him because she had found everything her soul longed for in him. Her life is a vibrant reflection of genuine devotion, rooted in the overflowing recognition of what God had done for her. She didn't just believe. She acted on that belief with her whole life. Throughout history, Mary Magdalene has been mistakenly associated with a sinful woman or prostitute in some traditions, an interpretation that has no direct foundation in biblical texts. Yet, thankfully, the recognition of her true identity as a faithful follower and the first witness to the resurrection has been powerfully rescued and celebrated in recent decades. In the early church, Mary was famously called the Apostle of the Apostles, a title that reflects the monumental importance of her mission. She was the first person to announce the most vital news of Christianity: "I saw the Lord." John 20:18. This title not only recognizes her relevance but also profoundly challenges any limited view of women's role in the spread of the gospel. Her impact isn't just historical, it is a living, breathing symbol for every single one of us today. What does Mary Magdalene's story challenge for you, to believe about your own potential, your own past, and your own place in God's grand, unfolding story? How will you embody her legacy of radical transformation, unwavering faithfulness, and fearless witness in your own life? Right now, her life is a testament that God uses the unlikely to perform the impossible. Will you be next?